Hello everyone, and welcome to Straight Chilling. Each week we watch and review a horror film for your entertainment. You can send all questions and comments to straightchillingpodcast@gmail.com, and don't forget to keep chilling.
Yeah, we straight chillin', serial killing. 5 cold feelings on the mind, got you reeling. 5-star ratings from the floor to the ceiling. If you get your 1 star, no time for feelings. Got a team and DJ, all the 1s and 2s. By the name of someone, so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast them all with 2. And prepare to hear the legend of the straight chillin' crew.
What up, nerds? Welcome to another fantastic, fat and happy episode of Straight Chilling. My name is Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode number 190, recorded on Sunday, November 25th, 2018. Tonight we're going to be talking about Motel Hell. The people have spoken, Motel Hell 1. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show tonight. First up, calling in from Santa Barbara, California, my boy Randy Gandy G. Landy. What's up?
I'm not gonna dwell on this too long, but there is a substantial population of our audience that believes that this election was rigged. And, you know, I'm not here to cast aspersions, but I am going to say people are asking questions, Rob.
Hey,
people are asking questions, and they got to know how the hell Motel Hell wins after you announce something else, buddy. Come
Floridians know how to count. That's all I can say. Bam.
That's, well, yeah, that follows, actually.
Yep. Last but not least, calling in from Southern Korea, my boy Soju.
Southern.
What up? It's your boy Snowstains this week, boys. I'm up here living in a winter wonderland. You know what I'm saying? It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, you know?
Full of snow stains on all them clothes, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, Frosty the Snowman and whatnot.
It rained
on
here.
and so forth.
It's related.
We got rain, so that was cool.
We got
no,
sun.
So the craziest thing about it is I woke up and checking the socials, I had a notification 1 year ago on Facebook, and it was the first snow day the previous year. It literally snowed the same exact day in fucking Seoul this year.
November. The post office was as efficient as the weather service.
Like clockwork.
Dude, weather and it legit, like the last week of like the 3rd month, it changes seasons. It's like on point every fucking time. It's blowing me away.
How was your Korean Thanksgiving?
It was dope. But full of Jack Daniels. I did a little special for maybe the Patreons. I don't know how Bob's going to use that, but I got jacked up on Jack Daniels and did a little review.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna make it a Patreon exclusive or tag it on the last show of the year. I don't know. I haven't decided what to do.
I love that on your Thanksgiving you chose to be thankful for hating Halloween.
Hey, that was a special request from Bob. Bob,
no, wait. I was on that text string, and what happened was somebody's like, "Time to record a review of Halloween." LOL, and I think it was you. And Rob's like, do it.
No, I think he said you should record a follow-up while you're drunk. And I was like, okay.
I didn't really mean it, but when you were like, I'm doing it, I was like, sweet. Okay. That'll work. How was your Thanksgiving, Randy?
It was pretty good. We did low-key, just the two of us, Becky and I. The fams were on the other side of the goddamn world, so we did not go to them. Did not have the funds for that. So we kind of hung around the house, made up our Thanksgiving meal here, and watched so much television that I have no longer any brain. It's gone. It was liquidated. It's gone.
It was never there. Sorry.
That's fair.
Sorry to tell you.
Everybody get your Black Friday shopping on?
Nah.
You know what I bought on Black Friday? Legit?
No.
A straight chillin' tee.
Ooh, that's a good call.
I don't know if they're still running a special or not. They were doing like
they extended it.
Special.
I know they extended it. I don't know how long though.
Okay,
like
well, if
$14.
you're here, yeah, it's like usually $20 and it was marked down to $14. So that's a solid chunk of change.
Yeah,
so I got Yeah, I got Randy. Anytime I come to America, I gotta like stock up. So I'm coming home for Christmas. And I was like, I need to go ahead and get that tea ordered, so it's waiting for me when I get there. And I got Randy's new Florida orange pumpkin pulp tea or whatever. That shit looks legit.
Yeah, that tea is only sold to my knowledge about two shirts. So if anybody wants to get in there and validate me a little bit, go ahead and buy one of our pumpkin shirts.
It's a good shirt.
It's a dope design, right? It's a great Christmas gift too, especially if that deal's still going on.
Yeah.
Like that, like we do a Secret Santa every year, and that was going to be my request. Like, oh, if anybody gets me, give me that straight. But I just bought it for myself. As adulthood goes.
Yeah. That's you don't want to entrust that to anyone else.
What's money?
No.
It's nothing. It's nothing. Very cool. Well, let's get into what we've been watching this week, gentlemen.
Hey gang, what you been watching?
Randy, what you been watching?
I watched, like I said, just too much of everything. First of all, with the biggest amount of love possible, watched Dinners of Death on Shudder with Joe Bob Briggs, and we actually live tweeted the whole goddamn thing. Richard Bibbs himself, from fucking 6 to 4, I was up, fucking watching 4 great ass movies. Fucking get this lineup: Texas Chainsaw. You got your Hills Have Eyes.
And
you
then
got your
I fell
Dead or
asleep.
Alive. Well, you got Back of Rob's Eyelids.
I couldn't hang.
You got Dead or Alive, and you got fucking Blood Rage in the clutch.
Rage!
Fucking. I was actually going to be sincerely disappointed if they didn't do Blood Rage.
Dude, Blood Rage, the fact that it was included, I was really stoked. I was really excited to hear that it did get included. And by the grace of Randy, he let me watch some Mr. Bibbs from his lap. The fucking technology we have these days. I'm in fucking South Korea, but can't get Shudder over here. So I'm watching Richard Bibbs from Randy's lap in California.
Well, it's a corporate account.
Legit watching
the
that.
whole corporation can't use it. All right.
I know, man.
Dude, it was working out though. We were watching Chainsaw. We were listening to Bibbs. We were chatting it up. It was a good little time. Bob jumped in.
Everybody you had to go to work, and Rob fell asleep though. So
I tried so hard. He took 2.5, almost 3 hours to get through Texas Chainsaw alone. And I love the man, and I want to hear every word he has to say. But I mean, it was midnight before the second movie ever started on the Eastern Standard Time. That is. So I mean, after The Hills Have Eyes ended, I was done, man. I had to go to bed.
That dude was dropping some interesting knowledge on Chainsaw.
On all of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the only part I watched, but I was excited to hear him talk about it and then bummed that we weren't covering it. And then even more fucking pissed off when I actually watched the movie we're watching it. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Motel Hell. It's on equal ground.
Oh my God.
What else did I watch? I also watched a Christian comedian documentary called I don't remember what it's called, but the lady's name's Chonda Pierce. Becky threw it on. I was extremely stoned.
Of course she did.
And it was 100% the most depressing thing I have ever watched.
Damn.
Intense, like,
because Becky's throwing on some depressing shit. I know that for a fact.
Becky is throwing on some shit that will make you tear up in the opening fucking act. This shit was a sleeper, though. It's a Christian comedian, and the thing's called like Dying with Laughter or some shit like that. And the whole thing, it's fucking nuts. Like when you're stoned, it's like a journey. You go from like really dumb mom level humor, Southern Baptist-y things going on, which is like, oh, okay, this is dumb and I can make fun of it, whatever. But then she starts going into her personal life. Like, her personal life is fucked up. And the whole series is basically her being like, I'm going to make it, though. Like, that's the whole fucking point of it. Is it's clearly self-funded.
Uh-oh.
Like, her telling because my husband died. Fucking crazy. It was depressing. What happened?
He started to
You
robot
just
out.
roboted out, but then when you came back here, it's like, it's fucking crazy. So we just got this gobbledygook, and it's like, it's fucking crazy.
No, that's probably for the best. That was the Lord censoring me so that you can all go out and watch Chonda Pierce and find out the fucked up story for yourself.
Praise Chonda.
And then I drew fucking my daily drawings and like had the most success I've ever had because I drew a fucking toaster, and I don't understand.
And then what happened? Then what did you draw?
I drew a stand mixer, and then people loved it, and I was like, okay, well, it's fucking Black Friday, and maybe people want to like buy a KitchenAid,
It's
and
a
they're
KitchenAid, dog. People love
and I'm
that
like,
shit.
okay, maybe people love that, I guess. And then I drew a fucking shitty toaster the next day, and people blew it up. Like, it was the most engagement I have ever had on Instagram for anything.
And he's pissed about it because Randy cannot stand the fact that the mediocrity is what's taking him straight to the top,
To
right,
the top.
Randy?
It's not even that. It's just baffling. I don't mind validation. Believe me, I don't mind. But that said, I have to, like, it's like I just fucking stumbled on the Rosetta Stone. I'm like, what the fuck is this? What is this? What are these? I have to decipher what this means for my life.
Just keep kicking out those appliances. I told Randy he's the new Campbell soup guy.
Yeah. What's that guy's name? Warthol. Yeah, Warthol.
Warthog? Randy Warthog?
Randy Warthog.
I think. Just draw a spoon, man. Just a spoon. See what happens.
Just
pull a Joe
in your
Murray,
room,
Rocco's
dude,
Modern
lamp.
Life. I'm gonna draw a Rocco's Modern Life thing and just do a jar of mayo and see how that goes.
Draw a toothpick.
Dude, it's probably gonna blow up, dude. Fucking people love mayonnaise. That shit's gross, but people love it.
Oh, shit.
Well, that's a debate for another day. But yes,
You been watching anything else?
I mean so many things, but I'm just gonna stop.
I did.
There's so much.
Juice, what you been watching?
So here's the thing. Once Thanksgiving Day drops, it's Christmas season, full blown. The Christmas tunes come out. I got a new Christmas playlist dropping whenever December 1st comes out. And I've been hitting the Christmas movies, starting off with A Nightmare Before Christmas, which just so happens to be an option on our next month poll. You still have 5 days to vote.
Really calling your shot there.
Well, oh man. And not only that, but on Thanksgiving Day too, or the day after, or whatever, they dropped the new trailer for the new Lion King, which is like live action, which it's not because it's not a fucking real lion running around.
They have real lion actors.
It's just a different kind of animation, but whatever. But it was like, made me think, and I was like, if they did this shit with A Nightmare Before Christmas, it would be so fucking dope. Because that shit is, some of that shit, like fucking a skeleton coming down this kid's fucking chimney and handing him a present that's got a severed, shrunken head, rotting head. Like, that shit would be so
but it would be in the style of like Beetlejuice or something, because it's
goofy.
you can't extract the Burton from it, really.
Yeah, but they should try, because it would be so cool, and it would be like super creepy. Like if they did it like, oh my god, it looks real like Lion King, like fucking skeleton. That shit would be so fucking cool. I would love it.
Don't worry, they gotta print money somehow. I'm sure they'll do it eventually.
That's definitely in my yearly rotation, and I think I've gone on the rant before, but it like blows my mind that people are like, it's a Halloween movie, it's not a Christmas movie.
They're
it's like
wrong.
It's so clearly a Christmas. It's
I
a
agree.
Christmas.
I
They're
agree.
like, oh my god! But
I
if you
definitely
wanna
said this
hear-
before, and I don't care either way.
So that's still up for grabs, though. I actually haven't checked in. What's our Patreon?
That's right. Yeah, so
looking.
I should have talked about this off the top, but yeah, our December poll pick is still up on Patreon. So if you support us at the $5 level or above, you're eligible to vote on our December poll pick. The 3 movies that are up there are Misery, Nightmare Before Christmas, and The Shining. And I think last time I checked, Misery had like 3 votes, The Shining had 4, and I think Nightmare had 0. So there's
The
still
Shining.
The Shining. But you've got till the end of this month. So come December 1st, you can no longer vote. So make sure you vote this week, and we'll see who the victor is. I don't know, and we'll be talking about one of these 3 movies come December. Also,
And somebody is going to be butthurt about it.
true. Also,
One of us.
Speaking of Patreon, we have a new patron, which
Yes, we do.
Whoa.
we must
People
salute.
still support us.
somehow, some way, people choose to support us, and it's fucking cool, and we appreciate the hell out of it. It helps us cover the monthly cost of making this show. And a big shout out and a big thanks to Marina for hitting us up on Patreon. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marina.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
You are the shit. And also, she voted for the correct movie on the December poll pick, just to let you know. So.
Here's the thing. At this point, like, I'm fine with The Shining winning because I realize, like, that's a quality film. Like, at least, we're going to be talking about something of quality. But,
yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's all we talk about. Juice, anything else you've been watching?
I'll save it for next week. I've been watching a lot too, like Randy. It's just the holiday weekend, but
there's too much to cover.
I know,
I mean, we are running out of tape, so I guess I'll go ahead and go. I watched a movie called Cam on Netflix, which
I watched that too.
Oh, no shit. It's like a Blumhouse movie that I guess Netflix bought, and I guess like the easiest way to describe it is it feels kind of like an episode of Black Mirror, basically. But it's about a cam girl who kind of gets her identity stolen, and it in a way that seems impossible, like almost like she has a twin or something, and it's sort of a mystery. And you follow her throughout the movie. She's trying to like get her account back because all the money that should be going to her isn't, and it kind of confronts like sex work and like identity theft in sort of an interesting way. And it's not very like when you think of a movie about a cam girl, you think it'd be kind of exploitative, I guess. It didn't really feel that way though to me.
No, it didn't.
It was pretty good. I don't know. I enjoyed it. It didn't blow my mind, but I don't know. I thought it was solid. If you like Black Mirror, I feel like you'll definitely enjoy Cam.
It's an interesting movie. I have so many questions though about the way that it concludes. Several questions, but I don't feel right bringing it up right now.
Yeah.
With spoilers and all being what they are and it being a new movie, but that movie. I mean,
is it like designed to be like a horror movie? I guess like kind of psychological thriller.
Know.
If you think of Black Mirror,
right?
That sounds more
like
accurate. Yeah, and it's like it keeps the tension pretty much the whole movie. It is a great job at that. I give it all the credit in the world for that. The acting is great, and it's like really unapologetic about like the inner workings of that world, which stuff that I would have never even considered and never thought of.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really interesting, just purely on like a documentary level. I was like, oh shit, I guess that makes sense that they have to do it that way.
It was written by someone who used to be a cam girl, which is why it seems so thorough. And I guess she made a deal with the director. I forget who the director is. Whoever it was, she made a deal with him and was like, look, you have to cam for like 5 straight days so that you kind of understand where I'm coming from before you make this movie. And he did, which kudos to that dude.
Respect.
Immersing himself in that world. It's I don't know, it's pretty cool. It feels.
Wait, like he had to like so he had to like jerk off?
Oh, I don't know about like the sexual stuff, but he had to like sit in front of a cam. I don't know if he was like, showing his penis or anything.
He had to have an audience.
I was like, damn, that's a specific request.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'd be down for it.
Yeah, I don't know about that either. So I don't know. Maybe he did. I got to look into that.
That's how you make the sausage. That's how you make a quality movie.
Pun.
You jerk off in front of a bunch of strangers,
Pun intended.
And then you make your film, which is jerking off in front of a bunch of strangers.
So that's pretty much what I was watching. Also, The Dinners of Death, of course, which I ended up going back and watching the Blood Rage episode, but I still haven't finished Dead or Alive. I started it, and I'd never seen that movie before. I got like 15 minutes into it before I had to turn it off. But that first 15 minutes was blowing my mind in half. Holy shit, that movie! Dude,
as I said on the fucking Twitter when I was watching that, I was
Randy.
at that point pretty tired and pretty drunk. Am I back?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, you're back.
So like I was watching that and I was pretty drunk and pretty tired at that point after a long day of giving thanks. And basically, like, what I ended up tweeting was the truth, which was that Joe Bob started out by saying, "This is the craziest thing. That get ready for a movie that'll actually make your stomach churn, and not just in like that's not just lip service, like saying all kinds of shit." And it legitimately freaked me out. And I was like, "Am I ready for this? I'm not emotionally. Am I emotionally ready for a movie that's real? Is this gonna be like Martyrs? What are we talking here?" And I'll tell you what, man. In some capacity, it did not disappoint. It wasn't what I expected, but it does not disappoint. And like you said, Rob, it's like a high fucking wire from start to finish. That opening is like was getting all sorts of fellatio on the internet when it happened, and then like from there, the movie just gets more and more convoluted and strange and like fun, but crazy as fuck. I loved it, actually.
I enjoyed the intro for sure. I'm going to finish it probably sometime this week for the next episode for sure. But it was watching the Blood Rage episode, like Joe Bob talking about Blood Rage. He's talking about UNF, which we all went to school at. He's talking about apartments off Southside Boulevard, which is like around the corner from where we grew up and shit. And like Joe Bob saying "Go Ospreys," and blowing my mind, man. I was eating it up. I loved it.
That was great.
Fucking cool. Anyways, that's enough gushing about Joe Bob. Let's go ahead and get into the main feature. Talk about Motel Hell and start off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Motel Hell from 1980. The plot synopsis is as follows. A seemingly friendly farmer and his sister kidnap unsuspecting travelers and bury them alive, using them to create the special meat they are famous for. Directed by Kevin Connor. Thanks, Kevin. Gentlemen, Motel Hell.
Kevin, I'm going to feed you to my tarantula.
That's more appropriate.
You're such a disease.
Oh my God! It's next on the list.
God,
well, maybe not next.
God help people named Kevin, because there's just a ready-made roster of horrible things to say about them at any given time. It's a pretty fucked up movie but not for the ways you really want for a horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Rainey, I know you and we watched this for the first time together a couple years ago,
hell yeah.
I believe. Were you looking forward to talking about it on the show?
I was, and I haven't seen it since then. I remember having a fucking blast watching it, though, having several drinks and just like watching this pretty wild B movie roll across the screen. So yeah, I was pretty excited.
Juice, was this your first time watching it?
First time, first and last.
Oh, so highly recommended, right?
No. As some of our Slack listeners have already said, I want my 2 hours back.
Oh God, Randy, would you recommend?
Hopefully, the show is more entertaining than the film.
Oh, I wouldn't bet on it, but sure. Yeah, I would recommend it, but it's one of those movies that comes with the heavy caveat of do not watch this movie alone. Watch it when you're prepared to giggle and make dumb jokes over it. Like if one night you're planning to watch fucking, I don't know, Wet Hot American Summer, throw this shit on instead and just get a little thrill out of this. Watch it and experience it as a group who is also drinking or otherwise impaired. That'll make it worth your time for sure.
See, yeah, I'm going to touch on that a little bit, but for the recommendation part, and typically I'm usually quick to admit, like, yeah, I watched it alone, or yeah, I wasn't drinking or whatever. Even with that, I don't. To me, and I haven't experienced this way, I don't even think I would I don't even think that would save it for me. Like,
wow.
To me, I found very little, like, even kind of charm in this movie, to where the fact where I was like, if I were maybe a little tipsy, I would find that kind of humorous. Not really. Like, I really just thought it was kind of dumb. And I went, and like when Ray is like, just what, instead of watching like Wet Hot American Summer, like it's like, nah.
It's okay to be wrong. It's all right.
Well, we'll see.
I'll allow it. I'm going to echo what Randy said. Yeah, I definitely don't watch it alone. I would recommend watching it with friends and beers for sure. It's dumb as hell, but I found it to be dumb in a fun way, in a fun and entertaining way. So yeah, recommend with the caveat. Let's go ahead and drop the spoiler warning, and we'll get into it.
Spoiler warning.
Motel Hotel Holiday Inn.
That's the name of this movie.
Fucking Farmer Vincent. Fucking creeper. Total fucking creeper. Stealing people. Burying
Stealing
them. He's taking them. So the movie kind of starts with him like causing this motorcycle to crash. And he takes the girl, and that's sort of like our protagonist throughout the rest of the movie. We kind of following this chick.
Kind of.
I almost find it difficult to. It's difficult to apply any level of sense to this movie, really. Like, it's almost like any sort of fun there is to be had is destroyed by analyzing it.
Oh yeah, I don't intend to analyze much of anything.
It's because
even
God.
literally saying what the plot is fucking makes it worse.
I mean, when you agree that, when you talk about this movie, it ruins it. It's because it's not good. That's why.
Experience, though.
If the saving grace of this movie is that you have to watch it with your good friends who you are going to have a good time with anyways, because you're drinking beer, which is your recommendation, then it's not particularly good. If that's the saving grace of this movie.
It's kind of a party movie. Yeah, it's
to me it's more like you can get through this movie if you're watching it with friends and having a beer. But there are some movies that like heighten that experience, and then this movie, like, to me, like I would like if I was hanging out with you guys and you're like, oh, let's start on Motel Hell, I would be like reluctant. I'd be like, I guess, like I would be like, we sure are gonna have a good time with this.
It's not the best movie ever by any means, but I don't think it's that bad, man. It's just kind of like a dumb 80s movie with like some decent gore. There's like a cool chainsaw fight towards the end.
I think there was a lot of cool gore.
I don't know, man.
Like that last scene, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, but he kind of gets cut in the side. Like the ultimate like chainsaw battle, like the dude just kind of gets cut in the side. Like, I mean, nothing crazy happens.
There's some pretty funny shit going. I mean, well, as far as the gore goes,
but we're talking about gore. You said there's some pretty good gore, but I really can't think. Honestly can't think of any cool scenes.
They like snap everybody's necks with the backhoe, like they're buried, and then they hook them up to the backhoe and drive away.
That's not really gory, though.
I don't know. I thought it was cool. And then whenever they're trying to talk, but they can't because their voice box has like been all chopped up.
The noise they make is disgusting. It's like, it's fucking gross.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Well, I know, but it's like so prominent throughout the film. It's just like so like, I don't know. And not even to where, like, I mean, I like, it's effective, I guess, but for this movie that's like supposed to be kind of cheesy, like it really is just it like grinded on me, because it really, like, it was like grossing me out, like one of those things that kind of like gets under your skin. Like it makes sense, yeah, but as an audible noise that's prominent throughout this film that I'm trying to fucking power through, it's just like just another notch. I'm just like, I like don't want to fucking deal with this movie.
I mean, you had a hard time with this movie, but I don't think it's the movie's fault that like that you don't like that sound so much because you dislike the movie. Like that sounds like it's your experience of the movie infiltrating your thoughts on like individual components that otherwise work for people.
Not necessarily, because I thought that the like specifically just the soundtrack in general was really bad. There's this one scene. Yeah, there's this one scene where the dude, like the health inspector, he's like, sneaking into the garden, and there's just like these fucking noises just like repeating over and over. Like, so just audibly, I found the movie in general, like with that kind of soundtrack that I didn't care for, and the noises, just the whole like audible film was unappealing to me. So I don't think it's just like an aesthetic choice. Like, but it
wasn't an aesthetic choice for the sounds. That sound was disgusting on purpose. So the fact that you were disgusted by it was by design. The problem is that you didn't like the rest of the movie, so you had to power through it. And that's not like necessarily anything wrong with that choice in the film. Am I back?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. I can tell when everybody goes aghast that my voice is fucked up.
I guess
Santa
it's
Barbara.
a similar kind of thing. I mean, I don't know. Like, it's effective that like that season of whatever had a tooth monster, but it's like so effective. Like Rob can't watch it because he finds it like absolutely disgusting. So in a similar way, this movie that I'm already not
You think it
finding
was that disgusting to you, as disgusted as Rob is towards Tooth Man?
I got a phobia.
Not that disgusting, but for a movie that I'm already finding like not particularly charming, not particularly interesting, like the acting, like I feel like everybody can agree is not great. The story is pretty dumb.
Yeah,
like
but it's supposed to be bad acting. You know, it's like it's intentional.
Okay,
It is in this
I'm just saying
movie.
all of these that like the thing is like you guys are even bringing up the negatives but trying to spin them as positives, and so it's hard for me to critique this film because you're just like, well, that's a positive, but you even present it as like, well, yeah, this movie has bad acting. Well, so I'm like, what is my job to do
that's
with
the
this
charm
film?
of like
Yeah,
a
it's
shitty
bad
B movie,
acting.
though. That's like you don't watch B movies because you've got Anthony Hopkins in there like
Yes.
just killing it. You've got these
So
people that are
why do you
hamming
watch
it up.
this movie?
'Cause
Why do
it's
you watch this movie?
Funny. I think
I
it's
didn't
funny.
think it was
anyway.
funny.
I did, man. There's
Well, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
that's like, I mean, that's matter of opinion. There's not much you can do about that. And if like you're powering through it because of your relationship to the jokes, the fact that you're I get it. The fact that you're disgusted with the sounds is a reason to dislike it. Just further reason to dislike it. But for me, as somebody who was enjoying myself for the most part, the first time I saw it, especially, like I thought that any sort of like visceral reaction I get from it is just an added like flair. It's intentionally disgusting me. I'm like, okay, great. Like this movie wants me to have a reaction, and I'm having it. Well done. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. This is kind of a swerve, but the opening credits, Randy, where they were all like kind of old style looking hotel neon lights. I thought that shit was pretty sweet. I don't know if you.
yeah, I like the that stuff too, and also like the soundtrack. I actually kind of like the soundtrack in this because it's so TV movie, and it's so like, and not I don't mean that as a negative. It's so sweeping, overly sweeping for the subject matter. It doesn't match, and I think that makes it more of an experience to watch. It's like, it has the same effect on me that like if you have like fucking a karaoke night and you're watching vacation footage from the Gateway Arch or something as you're singing "Raining Blood" or some shit. Like
I guess to
it's
me,
weird.
like to like have it on both ends, I guess. And like I understand it too. Like like you guys have just a different reaction to these elements that we can both agree are like bad, I guess.
Yeah,
but I guess the thing about it to me where you're like, well, yeah, so they want you to have that reaction. So to me, it's effective. It's like, okay, that's fair. But at the same time, like we like none of us, I don't think particularly like this, like shitty movies like Human Centipede. Like Human Centipede does stupid shit to get a reaction out of you, and just because like you react to it, just because they can or even like horror or I mean what like gore porn, no, not gore porn, torture porn.
Yeah,
like torture porn, like just because like they're gonna like show somebody's eyeball getting squeezed out of their head for this long shot, and like you're gonna like viscerally like react to it, like doesn't like mean that it's particularly good. Like to play devil's advocate, to say like, yeah, just because I'm getting a reaction of it doesn't mean it's particularly
preference.
We're not saying it's good
personal
because of that. I'm
preference,
saying,
yeah.
I'm not saying it. Yeah, I'm not saying it's good because of that. And I'm saying that I enjoyed that because I enjoy these like these aspects that, like we say, like some of the acting is a little shoddy, and whether it's on purpose or not, that adds to the experience for me because I'm not going to this movie for the fucking. It's not a Kubrick movie. This is a movie that was shot in 5 weeks, and like, I don't look to this movie for anything other than like ridiculous, like over the top bullshit and dumb lines and fucking half shitty effects, and like I like those things about it. It's intended to be a dark comedy. It's listed as a comedy first, and that's pretty obvious. If you don't like the comedy of it, that is perfectly fair. That makes perfect sense why you wouldn't like those elements, because that is what the movie is going for. If you're not into that, then you're not into what this movie is trying to be. Like
Yeah,
that's like
and I
that's
guess-
like getting pissed at somebody for not liking fucking Paw Patrol or something as a 30-year-old man. Like, of course that you're not going to like it. It's not for you. Then
Yeah, and I guess too, like really, I didn't even like occur to me like consciously like I really don't like the comedy in this film. I really just like watched it and realized that like it was like written to be a dark comedy, but it wasn't even like the jokes weren't landing. I really just didn't like particularly find anything like funny about it. I guess the ridiculousness of it, like of what is happening and of the story itself. But to me, it wasn't like they were like trying to land like these jokes. It was just a bunch of just outlandish premises that I guess was the comedy aspect of it. Like it didn't, does that make sense?
Yeah, they weren't actually like delivering jokes. It was situational insanity.
Yeah.
Like the fucking, like the Ivan and the Terribles band, they're all like in the van driving down the road, smoking pot, delivering the worst lines that have ever been written in the history of the fucking cinema. And the dude, one of the dudes in the van, I noticed, has like the second fakest facial hair I've ever seen next to the cop in Sleepaway Camp. It's like so clearly pasted on. You can see the glue around like the edges of the fucking beard.
Damn.
It looks
I didn't notice
hilariously bad. It was cracking me up.
honestly, this movie kind of has like the thing that makes it work for me is kind of X Factory. It really is about charm for me, and if it's not charming you, then it's not going to work. That's pretty much what it comes down to, I think. And I can totally see why somebody would like it and somebody would hate it. Like it makes perfect sense either way, because it comes down to that factor that you kind of is a plinko game, and either you win or you don't. Either you land, either it lands where it's supposed to, and it's like, or it just fucking doesn't, and you don't get the fucking points for trying. So I can see it being pretty divisive. The idea of comparing it to like Human Centipede, I get what you're saying. Like, not something being like effective, like an element being effective doesn't necessarily save a movie if you don't like the rest of the movie. There's nobody arguing that for sure. Yeah. So I get that. Yeah. For me, I liked it a hell of a lot more when it wasn't just me sitting at my table drawing and like not drunk, not enjoying it with a buddy, not doing any of the things that I think would make this movie fucking great, and has for like, I had a great time watching it the first time we watched it because I was not prepared for what was coming, and I was not like, I don't know, I was down for something silly and stupid, and that's what I got. So I was pretty happy with it. This time around, I knew what was coming, and I was also like just not in a silly mood because I wasn't drinking and hanging out. I was just me in front of a fucking screen. Yeah. It doesn't really work for me in that context. And there are some, like, you're right, there are a lot of like humorous premises, but not a lot of like punchlines that are not like, they could have punched up this dialogue pretty hard and made it work a little better. But they didn't really, I feel like they didn't go full thrust goofy as hard as they could have. And they didn't go full thrust like horror, over the top horror shit either way. Yeah. So that it kind of hits this middling ground where it's a little bit of comedy and it kind of slides back the scale on horror a lot. And I mean, it's really up to it's tough to say with any accuracy that it would be better if it did it differently, because it just kind of is what it is, honestly. Like, I don't think you could replicate the tone of this movie if you tried. Yeah.
And I guess that was like, you hit it spot on. Like, honestly, like when I was done with it, like thinking about it, I was like, well, I mean, like, I get that it was trying to be a comedy, but I can't like pick out anything that was particularly funny to me. And also, like, I know it's supposed to be a horror movie, but really, like I was telling Bob, like, I was kind of specifically paying attention because once it got to the end, I was like, okay, this is like the part I'm going to enjoy, I guess, because I love a good B movie, like gore, like shit going crazy and just splattering all over the place. And I was like, okay, well, at least I get this. And then they had this chainsaw battle and they don't even give me that. And I was like, well, what is the fucking point of this movie? They're not really giving like they're making a particular type of movie that people expect certain things out of, but not giving them any of those things. Like Randy said, they're not really diving into any of those elements. It's like kind of a comedy and it's like kind of like a horror movie, but ultimately it's just like kind of nothing. I mean, it falls flat on both ends.
I think it's heavy on the comedy for sure, and light on the horror. The horror definitely comes in the third act, and also just like the planting scenes that are sort of interspersed throughout the movie. But like my favorite parts are definitely like the more slapsticky moments, like the band who's driving in the van and the like super hipster couple that pull up at the hotel and they're like looking for a room and the dude's wearing
and the
goofy
swingers.
Yeah, the swingers. The dude's wearing
swingers cracked my ass.
The swingers was probably like the funniest part.
He's wearing a beret, and then
I thought that was the actor who played Gomez Adams for a while. Like the first time or like this time I was watching, I was like, he looks like Gomez Adams, and that is kind of a perfect role. Like it's kind of like a perfect echo of that character, in a lot of ways.
The chick, when they go in the room and the chick just starts whipping every item in the entire room and breaking everything.
That's going full comedy.
I love that. Yeah.
How they got there though, I didn't really understand, and it doesn't matter at all. But really, just trying to make sense of it, I couldn't understand how they found the place. Like they had a pamphlet. And they were like, "Oh, we didn't think we would make this issue." And I was like, "What is this?" Like
they were looking for the meat. They wanted to like sample the meat, I guess, because they're famous for this.
But it was implied that like it was like they knew it was like a swinger place.
No, it is. And that's also written on the fucking pamphlet. The pamphlet actually says at the bottom, "Swingers welcome." And I have no idea why that pamphlet exists.
Yeah, that's why I was like, what the fuck?
Did they put that in explicitly to get like swingers to plant in their garden? That's the only explanation. They do not spend a second worrying about it. And that's kind of one of the things I love about this movie is that it'll just leave a fucking loose thread loose as shit, and it won't give a fuck to go back on it.
My favorite line in this movie is when the swingers are in the hotel room and the dude comes out of the bathroom and he's in his full get up with like the orange onesie and the skirt, and he just says, "Where's my jelly?" Fucking perfect. That's the best part.
That
was
great. So the funniest part to me was actually right at the beginning where the family was there with their twin girls or whatever, and the girls run screaming back to the car, and Farmer Vincent's like, and they're just screaming in the car. And he's like, "Here, I'll calm them down." And he walks over to the window, and goes, "Blah!" He's like, and they just stop screaming. He goes, and he just gives this big smile. He's like, "All right, nice seeing you." Or whatever. For some reason, the way he does that, it's so unexpected, and it's so fucking insanely goofy in a movie that you didn't really have that laid out in front of you just yet at that point, that it was going to be goofy at all,
right.
Like, or at least not intentionally so. And it's that point you're like, oh, okay, this movie's taking the piss out of other movies here a little bit.
Crazy old coot.
Yeah. I like that, and like the swingers for sure. I like the just the visual of the planted heads. The disgusting sound makes it funnier for me because it's so like stupid. It's the dumbest fucking idea in the world that they're like planting people in the ground purely for the idea. Like it's like they started this whole movie with that idea. They worked backwards from the idea of people sprouting from the earth like flowers, and just like that's like there's no reason you don't plant pigs in the fucking field.
It doesn't make a lick of sense.
That was the only thing. Yeah, like why the fuck are they actually in the ground except to keep them trapped? Yeah, that was once they busted out the fucking wheel, I was like, oh my god,
I love that. I don't. It doesn't make any sense at all.
It's very like late 70s pseudo sciencey nonsense.
Well, it also just felt like there's so many aspects. Like they're planted in the ground. And like we're gonna hypnotize. It was just like it felt like people like writers sitting around just like throwing shit to the wall, man. Like I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah, I think that's the charm of it, but it's still personal taste. You just don't. You don't like that shit. I don't know. That's what those are the best parts of the movie for me. The crazy batshit.
It is like a roll ass moment though. I liked it though at the end. Like when I saw him doing that, I had forgotten about it. When I saw him doing that, I was like, oh fuck, I forgot about the scene where he brings out like a child's lighting kit from Spencer's Gifts and uses it to quote unquote hypnotize these people just to break their necks while they're helplessly fucking implanted in the earth for no reason anyway. You could just fucking axe those bitches and drag them back to your fucking freezer. That you don't have to do any of this shit. That's what's so bombastic about it, and I like that. I like that part of it. But like, it's a lot more fun when you can be like, turn to somebody and say, "What the fuck?" Like that's really paramount to the enjoyment of this film for me.
I think we got to talk a little bit about Terry, the chick who like Farmer Vincent steals in the beginning of the movie. Just because it's so crazy to me. It's like another batshit part of the movie where like she gets taken and her boyfriend allegedly dies in this motorcycle accident.
Or her husband? They imply that maybe they were married?
Oh, I didn't get that.
He was her only, and then she trailed off. This movie doesn't give a fuck. This movie doesn't. Fuck.
So and that's the thing. There's no person who's relatable, and there's nobody to like anchor yourself to.
It's true, but that's true in Sleepaway Camp too.
Fuck Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah, it's just not your jam. Yeah. But chick who gets...
But to say, like, B-movie, like, that's not necessarily true. Like, I mean, even... What's the dude where the New Zealand movie where the dude cuts up all the people with, like, lawnmowers and shit?
Dead Alive?
Yeah, I mean, like, I like slapsticky, crazy horror, like, gore. It's just, like, these type of movies that's, like, something... It's just, like... And when you can point to everything and say, yeah, that's not good, and it really just comes down to your personal reaction to it, then it's hard to, like... It's hard to analyze it because, as you said, once you start analyzing it, it sounds like shit. It's because it's kind of shit, and you just happen to prefer shit. Like it's hard to talk about it, I guess.
I think we're talking about it fine.
Yeah.
Well, no. Yeah. I mean, yeah. But I mean, to be like, oh, you don't like Sleepaway Camp, so like, it's not your thing. It's like I like things like that.
There's two scales. We've discussed this before. There's two scales of enjoyment. There's whether or not something is intrinsically good for its on it and stands on its own merits as being good, and then there's your enjoyment of the movie. This movie is hard yes on the bottom second scale and hard no on the first. Nobody is arguing that this movie is good. Let's be perfectly clear. Nobody's arguing this movie is good in the sense that it's fucking like art. Nobody's gonna ask for a criterion of this shit. This is a schlocky.
Bob's thinking about that.
Poorly written.
Really,
I've got the Scream Factory version, which is basically the criterion.
Well, okay, but
Please
that's
continue.
not criterion, though.
I can see Bob's like face thinking like, I might need to disagree with Randy on this as the words are coming out of your mouth.
That's fine. I think that it's absolutely a dumb movie. I think as much as I fucking am okay with this movie, it's not Sleepaway Camp though. I will give it that. Like there's schlocky movies that I think are more fun than this.
Yeah, this is no 5-star. Sleepaway Camp is 5-star.
This is like, I don't know, man. I don't think it's like wrong to say that this movie is good for me. Like watching shitty movies is enjoyable. That's why people continue to make them and sell them, because they get sold, because people like watching shitty movies. If you take an analytical mind to it, it makes it shittier, but that also in and of itself is enjoyable. Questioning why the fuck what's her face, the girl who was stolen, just sticks around and falls in love with like two of them, two.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's like 70. What the fuck is going on? Like, this woman has like the weakest will of all time. She's manipulatable based on all you have to do is like bat your eyelashes and you get whatever you want from her. She's like a genie.
She tries to bang fucking Farmer Vincent.
Yeah.
He's like, no, ma'am, we need to be wed first. What the fuck?
I don't know, man.
I guess that was the most effective part of this movie, is like him and his sister are at least like very like creepy, undesirable people. Like, they feel like backwoods, Puritan weirdos. Like, and they legitimately feel like that. You're like, oh, like these freaking weirdos. Like, like at least that, like, especially the sister. Like, I thought like the sister was effective in the role that she was playing.
Yeah,
she's
creepy. And then you got the sheriff, who's their brother as well, and he like is trying to mac on Terry, the girl. And
I was also like really disappointed that I guess it kind of plays into his character, but that he was like their brother and the sheriff and had like no idea what was going on, but also like turns out to be the hero, even though he's like super rapey. Like it just, none of that like sat well with me. Cause when they first were like, oh, here's my brother and he's the sheriff. And like, he was like, oh, he buried like your husband or your boyfriend, where I was like, okay, like they're all in on it. And it's, it's kind of like a Texas. It's like, I thought like, okay, this is kind of like a spoof on Texas Chainsaw. Like you got the dude who's like in charge. And I was like, okay, like I could get behind that. But then they just seem to like fumble all of that to me. Because then they're like, oh, no, the brother's just an idiot and he actually doesn't know, but he's going to be the hero. But we also show him being like super shitty in his own right. It's like, well, fuck, like I don't know who to like attach myself to now.
This is like that thing where for me, where I grew up on Mystery Science Theater. That's like one of my favorite things of all time, and that's one of the reasons I like shitty movies, because even like if I'm sitting with people and making jokes about this movie, it becomes an immensely enjoyable experience. I watched their Gauntlet, some of it. I watched fucking Atlantic Rim, the fucking asylum picture. I don't know if I would ever choose to watch that on my own.
I have to watch that shit.
It is fucking dumb. And it's like everything you analyze just falls apart and breaks, and the mess is hilarious, but it's only hilarious if you're like joking around with people or watching people make jokes about it directly, which is what makes that work. So like to me, if you like that sort of thing, then you're gonna like these shitty movies. Analyzing them and having them fall apart is just as fun for me as analyzing fucking Get Out and finding all the working pieces and bells and whistles that you didn't notice before. There's something fun about seeing the wreckage as much as there is about seeing the fucking machine running perfectly.
I concur with that notion. I think this movie is very enjoyable to watch, even though it's not particularly good in any one way or another, but I don't think it's trying to be. That's kind of the point of it. But if you're not in the mood for that kind of thing, you're not in the mood for that kind of thing. I think it's hilarious when the sheriff says, Farmer Vincent's pecker don't work no more. It's fucking this cracks me shit up, man. I don't know. It's dumb. And maybe the ending, like a true critique that you could have of this, Justin, which you brought up, it's like this is the comedy horror movie, and they really kind of pull the final punch in the end. Like when they're having the big chainsaw battle, they kind of pull the punch. Yeah, I don't know. I would have liked to have seen some more gore, like you kind of cited. Dead Alive, which is... I
agree with that wholeheartedly, actually.
Which is among one of the goriest movies like I've ever seen. Probably didn't have the budget to go quite that far, but...
If it had a tenth of that, though, I think this movie would have jumped up a level for me. I totally agree with that. Like, if this is going to be considered any kind of horror movie and not just a slapstick, like, comedy with horror elements, then you gotta commit in some way to the horror part. And I don't think this movie really does. Like, just referencing cannibalism isn't horror.
yeah.
I just don't see that. It's definitely a comedy. It's screwball and it's got some horror elements, but it's not horror. It's not like, it doesn't have enough horror elements for me to really quantify it in that way.
Yeah, it kind of cribs off Texas Chainsaw, and as far as like the chainsaw battle goes, Texas Chainsaw 2, which is...
Yeah, for sure.
Which is, they obviously do it much better in Texas Chainsaw 2. It's dual wielding chainsaws and then Leatherface with like this 6-foot blade. That movie's
that works
great.
Because Dennis fucking Hopper works.
Right.
So that's a goofy dumb movie that has Dennis fucking Hopper, and that elevates that movie. So when you have a great performance in a movie like that, it's great. But when you don't, you have to at least have the escalation of just events. Like, things have to happen at a much quicker rate than it happens in this movie, and not just like goofy things, but like not necessarily even plot things, just fucking like gore things, or like you have to have some sort of spectacle to hang your hat on, I think.
Well, because even to me, there wasn't even really any kind of moment of real like tension, like even as a thing, like because even from the beginning, they're eating people, so there's not even like any kind of reveal. Like, I mean, there's never any kind of mystery or tension or like reveal or twist. Like, there's really nothing to like chew on. It's really just like. I don't know. And then, and then too, like botching the ending with like, well, damn, I don't even get like a spectacle out of it. It's just like, it's just so disappointing.
I really like, you're right. And the only thing that like I got enjoyment out of because of that, like as a result of that was, even though I would have much rather seen fucking Farmer Vincent or somebody get beheaded or some shit just to give you a nice big like climactic spectacle. The climax that we got was so underwhelming, and it was all just one fucking rim shot of a joke where he says, my life's a lie. I've always used preservatives. The fucking badumcha that comes after that is the funniest part of that movie for all the wrong reasons. Like, like they undercut themselves so hard that it's comedic, and I don't care if it's intentional or not. It is fucking hilarious to me. And I wish so hard they could have done that and also given you the spectacle that you want to have.
Yeah. Even the sister being buried upside down, I was like, like the whole thing is they're going to eat her alive, or like, because they haven't really eaten, they're feeding them through like these two. Or just like something, it's just like she's buried upside down with her legs. I was just like, oh my God, this fucking movie just constantly disappointing me.
Yeah, it's like the comedy doesn't always work for me either, but when it does, even be it intentional or not, I find comedy in this movie, and I think that makes everything else sort of somewhat worthwhile. But it has to be so heavily qualified that I totally see why people would distance themselves from this movie.
Me too. Yeah, I get it. I definitely get it. There's I don't know. There's a lot that you could have issue with here. I
thought for a long time, the first time I watched this movie, the whole movie, I went the whole fucking movie thinking that Farmer Vincent and his sister were actually dating or something.
I thought they were married. Yeah,
or married or something. Yeah,
I thought so. Yeah.
They do not clearly define any aspect of this movie except that they are eating fucking people and they keep them in the ground. That's the only element that is stone cold solid.
Yeah. I don't know.
Also, that weird like preacher too, that, like is like kind of in the movie. Like he's on the TV and then you actually see him, and like that was a weird thing to include too.
I have trivia about that shit.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
I'm like, that's the one thing where I was like, this is interesting, kind of, or I don't know, like, where are they going with this? And then that kind of just like didn't do anything either. And I was like, damn it. Like when he, like, it was interesting, like when he was on the TV and it kind of added to the atmosphere and stuff, because he's always on the radio or he's always on the TV. And then when he actually shows up, I was like, okay, like here's like something, but then nothing.
And they don't really make good on it. Again, yeah, that's a lot. There's true. Like when they leave threads, it's a double-edged sword. It's funny to me when they leave like these big threads that make the whole thing unravel, like in terms of plot, because it's why would this movie bother with that? That's hilarious that they don't. But at the same time, there's some threads I really wish they had pulled like that. Like I want to see, you could looking at that, like the priest. Oh no,
yeah, I think you're good. I think you're good.
That's okay. That's the new signal, Randy.
Screw your face up.
It's not new every time you do that. But yeah, I kind of expected him to at one point to like end up in a fight scene a la Dead Alive, as a matter of fact, like have that sort of like dumb inversion of a priest, or have like that, or like Hot Fuzz where he got the priest is like, put down your weapons, and they say no sir or whatever, and he's like, oh fuck you, and then he starts shooting them with Uzis or some shit.
I kick ass for the Lord.
I kick ass for the Lord.
Love that shit.
I kind of expected something like that to happen, and the fact that it didn't, or nothing really came out of that at all, it's an unresolved note.
Yeah, he does speak in tongues in one scene, which would crack me up a little bit. But anyway, is there anything else we need to discuss before we rate this thing?
I don't think so, man. We basically already.
Yeah, we touched it all. We touched it. Randy, why don't you kick us off out of 5? How do you feel about Motel Hell?
What I was saying earlier, this movie is dumb and it's fun for the right kind of person in the right kind of setting, and the fact that I have to qualify it so heavily isn't a great sign for most people. Like as a review and taking into account all tastes and all personalities, I'm going to be as fair as I can be and give this a 2.5. I think that half of me really recognizes this as a fun time, and half of me totally recognizes everything about this movie that sucks, and I can't really recommend it heavily based on that. For my tastes, it kind of works under certain fucking lab conditions, and I'm not going to like sit here and pretend like that doesn't have any bearing on how other people are going to see it. So yeah, 2.5. It's enjoyable. It's not great. It's definitely not great. It's not good, but it's fun in the right setting. That's the long and short.
Cool. Juice, out of 5, how do you feel?
So I was going to give it a 1 star, but I got to be fair and stick to my own metric and give it the half star for the Yabos.
Okay.
So it's going to end up at a 1.5. And yeah, I just, I guess some positives I could say about this movie is I like the idea is, I guess, kind of like interesting or like unique. Like they kind of actually, that was, like you said, that was kind of the most fleshed out thing about this movie is like this guy has an idea and he's got like a he's like motivated by it too. He thinks he's like saving the world. Like he's got his own like self-righteous kind of thing about it. Like even though it's ridiculous, it's at least like it's like thought out. Like he gets these people that are traveling through town that, you know, like aren't going to be missed, and he cuts their vocal cords and he feeds them until he thinks they're ready for whatever that is. And then he hypnotizes. So at least, if nothing else, it's got that kind of unique, interesting kind of premise. So I'll give it that. But like I said, I didn't particularly find the characters charming or the movie particularly funny or any of the acting good or, you know, any of the horror, you know, no kind of tension for me. So I don't know. Ultimately, it just falls really, really flat. And it's just kind of, I'm just left with a dumb movie with none of the fun stuff to go along with what you typically expect to get from a dumb movie. So
I think honestly the best thing about this movie, and this is not a positive thing to say about a movie, but the best thing about it is having seen it puts you in a community of people who can reference this together. And like when somebody brings up, you're like, oh yeah, it's like a conversation piece more than it is an actual fucking film.
Oh yeah, I've suffered through Motel Hell as well.
Yeah,
it's like exactly. A support group.
Kind of. It's kind of like a signifier of, okay, this is the kind of person I'm talking to. We can be real with each other, right? That's a dumbass movie.
We're on the same page.
I'm already bonding closer with many of our Slack, participants. Just on that fact alone. Like, we've been through it, guys.
Cool. I'm gonna come in with a 2.5 on this as well. It's a big dumb movie. It's one of those things that I get a kick out of, but it's inherently flawed for sure. They don't totally deliver on the comedy or on the horror necessarily. I guess for me, I enjoy the hell out of the comedy that is in this movie, but I get why somebody else might not feel the same way. I don't know. It's a good time with friends. I think I'd recommend it. It's not on par with your sleepaway camps, obviously, because that movie's fucking perfect.
That movie is also not a comedy intentionally, and I think that matters.
And I think you're right. It totally does matter. That movie's a fucking anomaly. It's lightning in a bottle. We need to do another episode
exactly.
on it.
That's right. It's so bizarre that it exists in the first place, and especially the choices that were made that it makes it so much funnier. So when people are trying to be funny and it's not working for you, it makes it that much less funny. It's like a bad comedy is infinitely worse than a bad action, because actions aren't trying to be funny, but they make you laugh and they're bad.
I would agree with that.
That's true. But that's going to put our aggregate at a 2.2 for Motel Hell. Let's go ahead and get into our Rotten Tomatoes segment and see how our scores stack up with the critics and the users.
Certified fresh to death.
Take it away, Juice.
Ooh, as far as critics goes, this small sample size on this one. So small that there's not even a critic consensus. The reviews counted from the critics, 23. So 23 critics. We'll go around the table. We'll kick it off with Bob. What do you think the critics rated this movie?
I assume they were not kind. I'm gonna give this a 65.
65. All right,
Yeah.
Randy.
That's unkind.
I don't know.
Yeah, you kind of really
that's
hyped
way
that up.
kinder than I would anticipate.
Can I go again?
I'm going with a 20. Going
20.
20% positive.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And so it's a super small sample size, and it really is hard to gauge because it is an older, 1980? Yeah, 1980 movie. So it's like, where did these, reviews come from?
Yeah, the time period when they were written matters a lot.
Yeah, and it looks like, so the score is 70%. It's 70%. 23 critics reviewed it, 16 fresh, 7 rotten, and just by looking at the reviews, like somebody specifically says like Blu-ray review from the critics.
Yeah.
So it seems like these are recent. So if you're buying the Blu-ray of this movie,
that's the skewing point.
Exactly. And such a small sample size. The average rating is 5.9 out of 10, even with the 70%. So exactly. That's the thing. And really, since there's no critic consensus, I was kind of looking at it. And I mean, it's pretty just basic stuff, like a perverse film, both in its humor and in its horror. For genre fans of the offbeat, horrific, tongue-in-cheek Scream Factory's impressively packed collector's edition Blu-ray release of Motel Hell is worth seeking out, even though he gave it a rotten score. But it's a rotten score. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's because it's like us. Our score is rotten, but I still would recommend it under the right conditions. So
yeah, like this guy, it's meant to be weird, campy, and funny, but settles for being tasteless, gruesomely awkward, and moronic.
Moronic.
So 70%.
Joe Bob covered this actually when talking about Blood Rage a little bit. He said that if any movie that gets picked up by Arrow releases or by Scream Factory or whatever, like they never like re-release one of these dumb movies and people go, oh, this is terrible, and they just say, I don't watch it. People just straight up swallow that shit up, and it becomes a community thing rather than a good or bad movie thing. And I think that's like, when you're talking about reviews coming from 2017, that's really not a fair indicator of what this movie actually is, because people are riding that hype train for the re-release. Honestly, that's a fact. There's no way around that.
I love how he's like, oh, a movie that nobody's heard of in the past 20 years is getting a brand new Blu-ray release. It must be good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, if I had known that they were from 2017, I probably would have gone a lot higher. But I don't know. It's tough to say with Rotten Tomatoes of that small sample.
Yeah, it is. It's so small. But actually, so let's hop into the audience score. Surprisingly, for like this B movie that was released in 1980, it's still a small sample size considering, but still 7,000 people reviewed this movie. So let's see. Bob went first last time, so we'll go Randy first this time. Let's see. What do you think the audience rated this?
Watching this movie, like I said, is like being in a club, and I think all the club members are in rousing support of the club. So I'm going 90.
90. All right, Bob, what you think?
89.
89. Ooh, oh, you're going down $1. Rob's going to take it. So the differences between these two is kind of surprising to me, because I would have kind of followed the line of thinking of Randy as well. But this is 48% of the audience. So the fact that people are coming on to Rotten Tomatoes to give this a negative score, 7,000 of them, is surprising to me. I don't know, man. But
man, I don't need any more. I don't need any more proof that I cannot figure out Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, this one is a very strange anomaly between the critics and the people. The small sample size doesn't really help in either accounts, but This is more in line with our general score. Ours was what, a 2.25 or something?
2.2.
Yeah, so 48% is pretty close to that. So I don't know. Maybe it's kind of the same line of thinking, but I don't know. It's a mixed bag for people. Motel Hell.
Cool.
Fucking Motel Hell.
Yeah, nobody seems to.
That's
really
the club, man.
Yeah,
That's honestly, that's what I was trying to get at. Like, it is a fucking club. When people get excitedly start talking about Motel Hell, and somebody knows what they're talking about, that's like a small thrill for a bunch of people who grew up with nobody to fucking talk to about their favorite movies.
Thank you, internet. Randy, you got some trivia for us?
I got a little.
It's totally time for trivia.
Lay it on, my big daddy.
Sure thing. So a lot of this is going to be enlightening as to why the movie is the way that it is. First, for starters, the movie's original screenplay was originally a darker, much more disturbing piece with bestiality and a lot more violence, and it was not a black comedy at all.
Damn.
Damn, they included the bestiality and it wasn't a black comedy?
Yeah, I know. Shocking.
Wow.
It's a sequel to Deliverance?
So this is going to really enlighten things. Originally going to direct this movie, can you guess who it would have been for Universal Studios?
Toby Hooper.
Toby.
Oh.
Hooper.
Okay.
You both got it. That was impressive.
Nice.
Toby Hooper was originally going to direct this movie for Universal Studios, but when the studio balked at the bizarre project, Hooper also departed. He pieced the fuck out, and probably for the best. I don't know.
At that point too, it's like, oh, you're just ripping off my movie. Like, I mean, at that
Fuck
point,
yo.
At least he would have had it like, I don't know. Anything that would have kept Toby working was okay in my book, but yeah, it's probably for the best that he didn't assign himself to this shit. Also, we didn't cover this at all, and I really just think it bears mentioning. A movie called Motel Hell, very little to do with a fucking motel.
True.
Almost nothing.
yeah.
Why
if
are
it
they
weren't for
trapping
the
people?
swingers, like,
Why are they
it
trapping
made no
people?
sense.
Like, yeah, there's no fucking. Just have people come to your motel and slice them up. That's all you have to do to trap people.
That's true. That's true. God, what a weird. That is another kind of thought I had, because like when I was saying it's such a hodgepodge of just random ideas like the hidden assist. I was like, why didn't they capitalize? Like, why does he need to like set bear traps and shit?
Question
like,
why is the biggest problem with this movie.
That is true. Yeah, Motel Hell. And it's Motel Hello, and the O is out.
Yeah, which nobody would call it. I don't know.
Bad name.
Yeah, bad name. It's our hotel. What are you going to call it? I don't know. First thing that somebody says to me today.
Hell.
Okay. Yeah, Motel Hell. I like it. A scene with Wolfman Jack officiating a wedding at a church was shot but cut from the final finished version of the film. That is what this thing says on IMDb trivia, and I was like, who the fuck is Wolfman Jack?
I appreciate that man even more now, and I'm really bummed that
he was in this movie. He's a minor celebrity, which is why he was in this movie and why he is given so much attention as he does weird, dumb things. And he... Wolfman Jack I had to look him up, like I said, and I apologize to any Wolfman fans out there. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I just don't know the man. But he was a disc jockey out of, I think it was DC, or at least for a time. No, I'm sorry. But I don't know. I only glossed this shit. He was a DJ. And so he's famous for his fucking gravelly ass voice. He was in the fucking Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band movie. And one other thing. What was it? It was fucking
American Graffiti, apparently.
American Graffiti. He was best known for being in American Graffiti, a movie which, to my shame, I have not seen and don't know much about. But yeah, so he's like a personality. It's like if Tiny Tim's in your movie, Rob. And that's the reason he's there, not for acting or any other reason than that. So there you go. And his fucking wedding scene was completely ripped out of the movie, so I guess it wasn't that funny. Harry Dean Stanton. You guys familiar with him? Harry Dean Stanton.
I know the name.
Harry Dean Stanton from They Call Me Lucky, or no, it's not They Call Me Lucky, excuse me, just Lucky. The Green Mile, Repo Man, Alien, fucking all sorts of shit. Twin Peaks. One of my favorite character actors who has passed recently. He was approached to play Farmer Vincent, and he turned the offer down, which was a good choice for him.
That would have been cool, though.
Stanton was a pretty choosy guy, as it turns out. I saw some documentary about him or something, and yeah, he's in all kinds of things, but he only does what he fucking wants to do, or he only did what he wanted to do. For those who
a good choice,
yeah, he did. To put a face to a name for people as much as possible. He was in the Green Mile. He was the guy they would practice walking the mile with. He'd be like, "I'm walking the mile. I'm walking the mile. Sorry for all the shit I did." And all this stuff. And then in the Avengers, he was in the Avengers as the security guard who finds Bruce Banner after he plummets from the Quinjet or whatever it was, or whatever, the Shield base. So he's a character actor who's fucking great. Everybody should see that movie Lucky. It's great. So, okay, moving forward. This is a long one. In 2007 and 2008 interviews, director Kevin Connor once explained his involvement on this movie. In March 1980, I'd been in Los Angeles for 3 months and was getting nowhere when I decided to collect some tapes from an agent, Bobby Littman. As I walked to the agency, he came out of his office to refill his coffee mug and saw me. He asked me how I was getting on, and I replied, "Not so good. Come into the office and I'll get you a job," he said. He called another agent who happened to have had an inquiry for a young director to helm a horror movie. This was Motel Hell. I told the Jaffe brothers that I would love to direct this movie as long as it was a black comedy and removing all of the unnecessary crudeness. They agreed that this is the movie that you see. They agreed, and that is the movie you see today. I thoroughly enjoyed it because it was tongue-in-cheek, but you have to play these scenes. But you have to play these scenes. And if you notice, you never see any gratuitous violence. The black humor appealed to me, and it wasn't in response to any other movie trend. Very pleasant shoot. And he goes on to gush about how much the actors liked each other. So
ruined the movie.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
What the fuck, dude?
Kevin, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna
damn job.
This is not
no
good
wonder
decision.
You can't get fucking work.
Yeah.
Make terrible goddamn decisions.
Shade.
This is you're taking a horror comedy in the early 80s and you're going to take out the crudeness, which apparently doesn't include breasts or cannibalism, but I don't know, man. That's a huge fuck up in my opinion.
Yeah, especially when you're begging for work. Yes, okay, I'll take on this horror comedy, but
I appreciate
under this caveat that I'm going to take the fucking good shit out of it. It's fuck you.
Beggars can be choosers.
It's just make a comedy then. Just make a comedy. Period. Don't make a Motel Hell. Find a comedy to make. Why? Anyway, then last but not least, this United Artists marketed Motel Hell as a straightforward horror movie rather than a horror comedy, fearing that any quirkiness in the trailers or posters would put off audiences. Moreover, the tagline, "You might just die laughing," still appeared on several Motel Hell posters.
No worry of that.
So, yeah. So they marketed this as a straight horror movie, which is like classic fucking 70s, 80s, just lying to your audience.
Yep.
lying straight up about what their movie is going to be. Chud 2.
That's so weird. It's so weird to think of that process, and because they had those thoughts okay, it needs to be a horror to be profitable, but we're gonna hire this no-name fuck who can't even get a job and let him tell us that he's gonna cut all the crudeness out of it. What? But still market it that way? It's who's making these decisions and why are they making those decisions? It's hire somebody fucking else who wants to make a horror movie.
How did this get made?
Dude,
Who knows? Who knows?
I don't know.
One thing that we did forget to do is we need to find out who the Cooter of the Week is.
Cooter of the Week.
Justin.
Any cooters.
Of course, Bob. You always keep me on task. I mean, is there anyone who's not a cooter in this movie?
Maybe the girl, but it's just
okay.
Because she's kind of like she's basically a paper figure. Like she's a standee.
Any one of the family members could easily take the cake, and I guess either one kind of falls more on the mark. As far as the sister goes, I feel like she's the classic, like, right hand, like, dumb. You know, she's clearly got some kind of, like, it seems like sexual infatuation with her brother.
Right.
Yeah, seems that way.
Yeah. So I mean,
that's Yellow King shit going on here.
Yeah, but at the same time, the brother seems to exploit that. He seems to know that it exists and uses that to his advantage.
So he's got the manipulation going on.
He's got manipulation and the fact that he's like using, I guess, the like sex, like this. I don't know that, he's not like shutting it down or, I don't know. Like, so that's like some sexual deviance in its own right. And he's just got that whole weird like hang up. He also stole a woman.
He stole people's lives, but also took this woman.
Won't bang her because they're not married. Jeez. So he's got some weird things going on. And then the other brother, who's the fucking hero of all things, is like, here's another thing that didn't fucking make sense to me. Dude's the sheriff in town, and he's got to go to the drive-in and like park way out on the fucking hill and like use binoculars to watch the movie. It's like, just go to the goddamn drive-in.
He's just trying to bang. That's all.
He wanted to bang.
Still, though, I mean, it's
obviously because
isn't that what people do at a drive-in anyways?
Yeah, I guess a cop maybe shouldn't. We don't need to rationalize this.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a great.
But
that's a great
so.
Great.
So I don't know. I'm they all it's the Cooter family, but I mean I don't know. It's I don't like. I can't even justify like taking the other brother, like the sheriff, out of the Cooter because he only is the hero for selfish purposes. He only wants to bang this chick and can't stand that his brother is going to. And the thing is, it's not even like his brother's tricking her. This chick is just fucking dumb. Like, so it's not even like he's manipulating her particularly. I mean, kind of, but
she's
more
down.
like a Stockholm syndrome thing or whatever.
She so
like
quickly was down, like immediately down.
She's like, "Oh, the only person I've ever loved is dead." Okay.
Guess I'll bang you.
Why is she hanging? You need to get your rest. Okay, I guess I'll do it here at a motel.
Who's the biggest Cooter?
I gotta go Farmer Vincent. I think he's taking
think so?
For me. Yeah.
He might. I think he's got the most manipulation skills, and there's like the hint of the incestual sexual deviancy, and
he's got those overalls.
Yeah,
the manipulation counts as sexual deviancy in his case because he's using it to woo a much younger woman who he stole and whose husband she ate.
He's also like tricking swingers apparently into coming to his thing so he can eat them. So I guess there's that kind of
manipulation's way off the charts, and it really shouldn't be as successful as it is, but it's this movie, so of course it is.
A little bit of smug arrogance too, I guess. The fact that he's like, hundreds of people have been cannibals for 30 years, eating my meats or whatever, you know. So like his end goal is like superior or whatever. I don't. Yeah. So I guess Vincent takes the Cooter cake. That's fair.
Took it. We got him. We got him, boys.
We got lock him up, boys.
Gotta catch them all, boys.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and end with a little bit of horror news.
Extra. Read all about it.
There's not a whole lot going on there, fellas. So we got to pour one out for a director that recently passed away by the name of Nicholas Roeg. You might know him as the director from 1973's Don't Look Now. And I think the three of us would know him more for 1990's The Witches.
Oh, shit.
He directed some other stuff that I guess I've never seen before. The Man Who Fell to Earth. I've never seen that. Eureka.
The Bowie movie
is well, I guess so. Yeah.
That's a David Bowie.
Yeah. I've never
Bowie
seen that.
joint. I haven't either. I just know it by reputation.
He also worked on like Lawrence of Arabia. It looks like he did a lot of stuff. Casino Royale.
Yeah.
A pretty influential guy. I think I've only actually seen The Witches as far as his filmography is concerned, and that shit fucked me up as a kid.
That's a great fucking.
Yeah, I need to watch it again. It genuinely scared the shit out of me as a kid.
It's because it's terrifying for children.
Yeah.
I mean the premise of it, and they do a good job. It was part of the 31 Days of Horror, and it
on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, the effects were great on it. I don't think I'd seen it growing up. Maybe like clips of it, like I don't think I'd seen the whole movie all the way through. But you guys have recommended it for our like kids friendly week or whatever, and so I watched it and I was like, damn, like yeah, that shit's pretty fucked up.
Kind of hardcore for kids.
I watched that shit frequently as a kid. Like that's one I watched probably 5 or 6 times before I turned 10. So
damn, you hardcore.
I loved it. I loved Roald Dahl. I was a big Roald Dahl fan when I was that age, especially. So like,
there you go.
I was trying to seek out anything he did. And there was very little by way of the movies except for Willy Wonka. So that was my next stop. And I loved that shit.
Cool. Yeah. That's, so pouring out for
yeah, sorry.
Oh yeah.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Pouring out for old Nicholas Rogue. I guess if you haven't seen The Witches, I definitely recommend the shit out of it because it was scary. A lasting impression was formed upon me as a young lad. And I guess I need to watch The Man Who Fell to Earth, get some Bowie in my life. The only other bit of news that I had going on here, we mentioned this a couple episodes ago, but the Satanic Temple filed a lawsuit with Netflix over the new Chilling Adventures of Sabrina that came out, because I guess the statue of the Dark Lord that is used in that show is basically identical to the statue that they have and worship.
Yeah, and they have like a trademark for it too. That was the only we were talking about, like, because there were two claims at the time. One was that it legit, like they had, like, it was their design. They paid to have it designed by either an artist in their, of their faith or just outside work. So they had it, so that's legit. Like, that's legit. I don't know if what they're asking for is legit, but like, that's legit. But then the whole thing of like, oh, they're making us look bad. I was like, okay, no, that's not legit.
Yeah.
Okay.
They filed a $50 million lawsuit, and they went on to say that the show misappropriated their imagery and used it to represent evil deeds that do not reflect their specific values. So I guess they reached some sort of settlement, and the Satanic Temple released a statement saying they're pleased to announce the lawsuits recently filed against Warner Bros. And Netflix have been amicably settled. The Temple's attorney, Stuart Dahan, said the unique elements of the Satanic Temple's Baphomet statue will be acknowledged in the credits of episodes which have already been filmed. The remaining terms were not made public, so we don't know how much money they were actually paid.
I think it was probably paid in virgins, you would assume.
50 million virgins. I'm looking at like a side-by-side image here, and the statue's fucking identical. You really can't deny it.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, they put like kids around it and everything. And that's the thing. I was like, you know what? If they pay to have it designed, they've got, like the license for it, then yeah, fuck, them for stealing it. Like,
yeah,
design your own, god.
Somebody
I mean,
yeah.
How many different designs of fucking the devil are there? 1 billion. Like, it's like, you don't need to fucking copy that.
It's the show's job to. I can easily see like somebody who like not realizing that imagery was somehow copywritten, but that's somebody's job on the show.
For sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody should have seen that red flag, and if they didn't, then an honest mistake or whatever. But now you're paying for that honest mistake for legitimately.
They had a solid case. It's trademarked or whatever. It's just, I think it's a little weak maybe.
Yeah, and to throw in there that like, oh, it represents like evil deeds or whatever. For one, it's like at the school
it's the devil,
where like this.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, also it's a devil, but it's like at a school where this like little teeny bopper girl is going and she's talking about like her boyfriend. And they're like, I don't remember anything specifically evil about it other than they're fucking witches.
Easy money. Easy money.
It's some dumb shit. And also, yes, it's the devil.
Come on.
I mean,
Come on.
The way that it was phrased, I can see the argument though, because if it was any other statue, they couldn't make that claim because it's the devil. What are you gonna do? But it's attached to their church or whatever, and so I'm sure they have whatever their own tenets are and all that stuff. That gets affected by how it's portrayed.
Yeah.
I get it.
I guess too,
But it's
like we watch those fucking videos, grimy ghosts and shit, and people claim crazy. I mean, you're right. People claim crazy shit. Like, look at this Sabrina the Teenage Witch and its association with cannibalism or some dumb shit. Fucking everybody's just so goddamn dumb.
Satanic panic and shit was started by people just saying random shit about about people doing satanic worships or whatever, whether or not it was associated with any one temple or whatever, it doesn't matter because the damage was done at that point and people were getting like anybody who was involved with those things, no judgment call on them, but they probably had a harder time back when people thought that Dungeons and Dragons was a gateway to killing yourself because of Satan. Like it probably affected them.
Just live responsibly, people. Come on. Stop
Sort your
exploiting
shit
everything.
Sort your fucking life out, mate.
Racist.
Okay.
It's a Shaun of the Dead reference. Cut me some
Okay,
slack.
I was like, except it was like heavily Australian.
Sorry, I'm not Caesar. I'm not good with the accents. Cut me a break.
I was like, what are you making fun of Shane or something? God damn.
Shane's my boy. I'm not making fun of Shane.
Leave him alone.
He's not here to defend
all right,
himself.
gay.
Thank you, Randy. You're on my level. Damn it. That's all the news I had. There's not a whole lot going on. That's going to do it for this episode of Straight Chilling. We're going to be back next week with a brand new episode. We're going to be talking about a new little picture called Anna in the Apocalypse. There's a trailer out for it now. It's not hitting VOD until Friday. So make sure you check it out so you're ready for next week's episode. As far as I understand, this movie is some sort of like zombie musical situation, Christmas musical situation. So it should be interesting. It's been getting some solid reviews. Justin's giving me a hard side eye, like real hard. Not into it.
We only got a few episodes left for the year. We got we got
5.
that one. We got a Christmas special coming up. We got, of course, the
Friday
most
part
look forward
4
to episode top 10 of the year. Where we're gonna duke it out.
Top 10, yeah.
Live, duke it out live, Rob. I should be in Jack.
Duking it out face to face. So yeah, until next week, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. We haven't got a rating and a review in a hot minute, and we definitely appreciate those when you throw them at us. It only takes a second to do, and it helps people find our show, and we thoroughly appreciate it. It's an easy way to support the show, and it doesn't cost you any money to do so. Just a moment of
Saves Rob money and Viagra. I'll tell you that much.
What?
Also, this is potentially our first like Skype recorded episode. If everything works out, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. So potentially subscribe to us on YouTube as well, where we potentially will have our episode video format up. So
maybe
that actually works out. So if it works out, check us out on YouTube. If it doesn't, then still check us out on YouTube.
Yeah, well, the thing about YouTube is even if this video doesn't work out, at least the audio will be there. So we're going to start having audio for every episode on YouTube, and if the video works out, we're going to up it to have the video as well. So we're going to see how this works out. This is the first time trying the video. So,
God, just what everyone fucking needed. Our dumbass faces. Dumbass shit.
We'll see how this works out.
Straight Chilling Podcast on YouTube. Also, shout out to the Slack channel. Everybody on Slack has been killing it, as always. If you want to join us on Slack, just hit us up on any one of our social media websites. Let us know you want to join us, and I'll send you a link so you can do that. get in on the fun. You can follow us on Twitter at STR8_chilling. We are on Instagram at Straight Chilling Podcast. You can send us an email through our website, straightchillingpodcast.com. And as always, everybody, please keep chilling.